Welcome to another episode of the Development by David podcast. This week, my guest is my first role model, Mr. Gordon Belch. He is the co-founder of food replacement brand Vybey, now launched across Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Before stepping into the role of co-founder of Vybey, the brand that he created, he was an award-winning law student finishing with a first-class degree and awarded top 1% in his year. He then joined the Big Four accountancy firm and qualified as a chartered accountant. And during this period, he trained to compete in a UK BFF bodybuilding show and finished top 3. Following then, he got into athletics and competed in the decathlon for 3 years, finishing top 3 in Scotland. Then he emigrated to Sydney, Australia, and joined a leading investment bank. During this time, this is when he founded Vybey. He now lives in Amsterdam working on a contract as head of finance at an engineering firm that is international. And whilst maintaining this prolific role, he has launched Vybey subsequently in the UK. In this episode, we talk about Gordon's upbringing, how entrepreneurship is both hereditary and self-started, how to time manage when you are both an entrepreneur and a finance professional, how important the dynamic is between you and your co-founder, how important rest and relaxation is in terms of productivity and efficiency, and overall just hear Gordon's plans for growth with Vybey and his own personal development and self-actualization. Like I said, Gordon was a role model for me, and his journey not only with Vybey is something that has deeply inspired me to go on and start this podcast, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this episode with you. We wrapped up a great chat, but for now, over to Gordon to talk about Vybey.
Thanks, David. This is Gordon here. Vybey is an international nutrition company where its mission is to provide world-class nutritional products that are convenient and affordable while giving back to disadvantaged communities. Everyday use of Vybey products can optimize your life and give you that 1% edge. And Vybey's cornerstone product at the moment is a nutritionally complete meal, providing 29 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, complex carbs, essential fats, and added premium ingredients such as probiotics for your gut health and nootropics for your brain health. From as little as 89 pence per meal, it's a no-brainer to give us a try, as we also have sample packs available. Use the discount code DMAC for 15% off either on our UK or Australian website. If you're elsewhere, give us a shout and we can make something happen.
Gordon Belch, welcome to the Development by David podcast. I can't believe we're finally having this conversation. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. Very good. As you said, it is strange, but I think maybe a bit inevitable. We are both into self-development on a crazy level, and we cross paths at the right time.
I think a lot of the conversations we've had previously could have and should have been a podcast, so I'm privileged, really privileged to have you stop by in the studio today.
No, thanks a lot.
So, for the listeners who don't know who you are, unfortunately, yet, who is Gordon Belch in 2022?
In 2022, Gordon Belch is charging on with the Vybey growth. I'm going to be developing more as a professional in the day job. But all in all, as cliche as it might be, just trying to be a better version of myself that was yesterday or last year, and using different techniques now, like trying to be more aware, using other self-care like the sauna use, cold water therapy, and understanding more about the power of the breath. All these like new fascinating things, I'm certainly getting up to speed with them.
You touched on Vybey, and that's the brand that you founded or co-founded, and people might see that brand and denote you towards that brand and denote you as the entrepreneur behind it, but you seem to have been entrepreneurial from as long as I've known you and way before. Where did the seed plant for entrepreneurism? Was it hereditary? Was it self-started, or a cocktail of both?
Yeah, a cocktail of both. I like that one. I'd say that's probably true. To give you a bit of background, my granddad started the family engineering company like back in the 70s. Still going strong today. I watched growing up that my dad was doing that for 30 years as managing director. You could almost say I was born into an entrepreneurship family. My uncle was the CFO. The cousins, that's what we talked about at family get-togethers and stuff like that. And my mum is also a physio for elite sports men and women. She's been to the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and she had her own practice too. So in effect, it was just the norm growing up. And I think I decided very early on that, yeah, that's what I wanted to do, have my own company.
Why your own though? Like both sides of your family have had really fascinating careers by the seams of things, and you could have easily have linchpinned onto either of those. Is there a specific reason why you paved your own way?
I think that, like, one reason I like paving my own way. That's one thing. Like you introduced that book to me, Be More Pirate. Remember that one? That was a very good recommendation, and it definitely resonated. But when I was young, growing up, the my dad and uncle, like, no, it's not going to the grandkids. They'd say back to the grandfather. So the grandfather would say, oh, when the grandkids end up working at the company and do X, Y, and Z. So that was what he used to say. And then my dad actually said to me that when I was quite young, he's like, no, I don't want you to go into the company. I think you can do better things, right? He said that, but that kind of means various aspects. Like maybe number one, he wants to sell it and take the cash, right? Or number two, he genuinely thinks that I could do better things, or maybe he wasn't content with his decision to do that. That's certainly something. Or he doesn't want me to lead it. Simple as that. So maybe I should probe him a bit more because I've not actually thought about that in a while. So, but yeah, times change.
What were the early indications that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Did you have the old Gary Vaynerchuk-esque style of garage sales and flipping baseball cards? Were you entrepreneurial as a kid? What were the early signs that you were going to
Yeah,
go on to build something like vybey?
yeah. I think maybe textbook entrepreneur, like starting off with the street car washes, trying to walk people's dogs for cash, to selling anything you could imagine as a teenager on the playground within reason, obviously. Like you have stuff like stink bombs, catapults, water balloons. Like I definitely blame my dad for facilitating that. He would take me up to the cash and carry, and we'd fill the basket, and then I'd say, "Yeah, Dad, I've got buyers at school," and then go back to the playground and shift them. And my mum wouldn't know about this till after the sale, so I was sort of scot free in that. And then another daft example is like I noticed they'd bought blank CDs in the computer room. LimeWire was a thing back then, and you see all the new albums come up. So again, like 13, 14, wrote a list of the new albums, went to the classroom when the teacher wasn't there, would say to everyone, right, look, these are the albums I can get you. Put a tick by the album and your name, and I'll get you tomorrow. And then come back in with a bag full and sell them for a fiver each. So yeah, it was probably if you wanted to bet that I'd do something later on, yeah, it was a pretty good bet.
What do you think was the catalyst for wanting more or doing more at that age of your life? Because from what I know of you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you come from quite not an affluent background, maybe an affluent background, but not like a lower socioeconomic background. There was no immediate desire to earn to survive or to kind of give yourself some comfort. You already seem to have had that. Why do you think that was ingrained in you at such a young age to do more and be more?
Yeah. No, I think very grateful for the company that gave the upbringing that I had. Like, so that's one thing. But why did it happen? Maybe the role models of that time were your dad and your mum and your grandfather, your granny. Like granddad also got picked for Scotland rugby. He like had a horrible injury which cut the career short. My granny swam for Scotland at the Commonwealth Games. My younger sister went to the Commonwealth Games for hockey. She's a doctor, vet. Like it's a competitive nurturing, I'd say. Like my cousins as well. Like it was just like yeah, a bit of a competition. So at that age, my parents didn't push me, I'd say. It was more just like encouraging and saying like, yeah, go for it. Do what you're passionate about and have fun at the same time.
It's the whole mantra of if you can see it, you can be it. And if you're surrounded by such striving, ambitious people, then even subconsciously that's going to rub off on you. And I guess, did you go to what school did you go to? Can I ask?
Yeah, Glasgow Academy.
Glasgow Academy. So you were probably again surrounded by peers who were also of that nature.
Exactly.
Do you think you were competitive and striving because you were benchmarking yourself against peers? Or do you think that you were built from a different cloth amongst your peers?
I don't know if I was built from a different cloth.
It's a very arrogant thing to
It is a
like.
very arrogant thing. I'm not going to say that. I think it was just a competition within the classroom. Yeah, that's certainly where it stemmed from. But then where does that come from? You know, it's quite an interesting thing to look back and see what was your like upbringing from a very young age. Yeah, maybe one day through therapy I'll unpack that more.
And have your classmates and peers gone on to just as great things as you?
I don't think I'm on completely great things, but yeah, my inner circle of friends are doing pretty well. Yeah, there's another entrepreneur there that's raised millions of pounds, like a surgeon, dentist, like they're all, yeah. But even though they're doing those things that are well regarded by society, there's other guys having a lot of fun doing what they do too. So
The fields that you mentioned there seem quite traditional.
exactly.
And I guess your career is quite traditional as well, but vybey is very untraditional, unconventional. When you started vybey, and we'll touch upon the genesis of that shortly, did you feel like it was a huge risk because it was very unconventional to some of the endeavors that your mates from school um, started and embarked on?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was a massive risk to do, but it's what I wanted to get done. You know, it was ingrained in my head that there's a problem with what's on the market at the moment, and I believe that I can do a much better job than what was on the shelves. That's ultimately where it came from. So it was that drive to, yeah, it's going to be risky, but I don't care what the risk is. I'm going to make sure that I can actually get it done. So it was that building of the it's a project at the end of the day. You're building that project to see that end goal, trying to enjoy the journey as much as you can to calm it down a bit. But yeah, it was a risk, of course.
I feel like we're having foreplay with a listener at the moment. We're kind of teasing them of what vybey is. How would you describe vybey and what problem was it that you were trying to solve?
But at the moment, Vibey's mission is to provide convenient and affordable healthy food while giving back to disadvantaged communities. And our products are meant to be used every day to give consumers that edge or 1% advantage and really optimize your life. So we've got a cornerstone product at the moment, which is a nutritiously complete meal shake. So you have everything you have in a meal, but in powder form that you can have quickly on the go. And the problem that we were looking to solve, like the inception, the idea came back at uni. So this was probably around 2013. And I wanted to save some time, save some money. And what I believed was like a very nutritional start to the day or lunch. So you'd have like your oats in there, protein powder, fruit, um, flaxseed for your omega 3s as well. So that is where, so the problem from that is people would say, I don't have enough time to make something like that, or I don't have, it's going to cost too much, or I simply don't actually know what to put in. So there's your problem solved. We have this product here. And bear in mind at that point, what didn't exist. Right. So it was definitely something completely novel to the market. But then didn't transfer any investment to the food scientists probably until 2018, you know? But it comes back to that point earlier about what I wanted at that point in my life. Like I was just finishing off university, was kicking things off with the bodybuilding stuff, got back into athletics. And then eventually, once all that was finished, the penny dropped and it's like, right, let's do this.
It seemed like you had built identity capital between the ages or the years of 2013 and 2018. When I was introduced to you in 2017 through a mutual employer, KPMG, when you were, I think, an assistant manager there, and I was a new start apprentice, fresh faced, I remember walking into the office and seeing a glow of a human, and that was you. And I really mean that. Like, you were the most charismatic person in the office, and it seemed like opportunity gravitated towards you. Maybe you created that deliberately, but it seemed like you were the man of the office. You were the person to be around. I felt immediately gravitated towards you, and throughout our time working together, I was always asking for support. And in fact, one of the things that I remember doing was being so chuffed when I passed an exam
Yeah.
or had a personal achievement to come into the office and share it with you,
Yeah.
because you seem to have had built so much identity capital through all the different facets that you had been through. And I didn't think anyone in the office would be able to understand some of the same personal achievements that I was trying to embark on.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I feel like thereafter I've instilled a sense of the importance of building identity capital from you. Can we touch on how you feel about identity capital and what you've done between the years of 2013 and 2018 to build that identity capital and then ultimately cash in for reward when you launch vybey.
Yeah, I think, well, thanks a lot for those kind words, first of all. But I think even back then, I probably didn't even know what identity capital meant, right? So I think you're definitely unique at the young age that you are, that how much you've achieved, right? And it's fascinating and amazing and powerful that you're even thinking about that right now. I think that's really unique. But yeah, of course, between 2013 and 2018, a lot of activity happened that yeah, by mistake started to build that identity capital, but it wasn't really, it's not for anyone else. Like, it was goals that I'd set for me that I knew I wanted to achieve. So like the bodybuilding that I mentioned, I wanted to step on stage. Like, there was at university, there was like 4 of us living in the same flat, all into the gym, all eating the top supplements, top food, training together. Mate, it was a total meathead flat, right? Honestly, you would have loved it. You would have loved it. We lived like 10 meters from the gym. Honestly, it was just the life and training. So that was like nurturing us into like, we're just having fun lifting weights and seeing the growth, right?
It's almost a process of continuous improvement. It's where most young people fall in love with continuous improvement, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, yeah. And it's setting the goals, and then like analyzing the progress to some degree, and seeing that finish line, and just enjoying that full process. Like, stepping on stage is a bit tough. I can definitely see you doing something like that a couple of years time with the progress you're making right now.
Maybe the bikini category or something like that, mate. I'm not quite sure.
No, I couldn't wear the Y fronts. I had to go for the board shorts. The legs weren't quite there yet.
There is undoubtedly a process of suffering with stepping on stage. Like from what it seems from the outside, I've never done it. The last 2 weeks, you have to dig deep and you have to suffer for a greater reward,
Yeah.
almost like delayed gratification. Do you think some of the experiences that you have experienced through bodybuilding and through physique has transpired into how you can perform and endure resilience now?
Yeah, I think it definitely has helped. Yeah, of course. It comes back to thinking about, right, what is that goal I'm trying to achieve, and it was almost the same mindset. Like, you have the setbacks, massive up and downs, but the difference between like doing the bodybuilding and the decathlon and then business, I'd say business is way harder. Like,
Really?
honestly, way harder, because with bodybuilding and decathlon, like, you can, okay, it's tough, right? But it's all on you. Like, if you want to go train, you go train. If you want to eat properly, you eat properly. But in business, you can't force someone to buy your product. Like, you can build it in such a way that it's amazing, marketing's on point, but you can't like grab their wallet and take their card and pay for it. Like, it's a longer slog, right? I'd say that's probably one of the reflection points for me, comparing those different activities.
Yeah, now I think about it, and now I think about how much I know you. You seem to have been someone that has controlled the controllables, and in the world of startup and working and building vybey, there seems to be an aspect where there's certain a lot of the motions of probably growing vybey you can't control. How have you managed that? Have you had to have like a period of acceptance of perhaps we're not going to have high sales this month, or perhaps this launch isn't going to go to plan, or these posts aren't going to get the engagement we want? Have you had to like consciously accept some of the aspects and motions of growing vybey?
Yeah, definitely. For instance, like, we first launched with the ready to drink option, and
So that's in a bottle, right?
as in a bottle, yeah, yeah. So it's ready to drink, have it off the shelf, boom. You don't have to mix it, you just shake it, and that is definitely more risky than doing powder, because the minimum order quantity on drinks is a lot higher than it is on powder.
Right?
So when you go and do the drinks, yeah, you can do a trial run, which we did, but it costs, like, you're not going to make any money on that. So we went into that with the risk that we would, with the hope, in fact, that we would get some form of retail deal or immense traction at the start that would show investors that we can then get the product made at scale. So during that time was like the year before COVID, or like 10 months before COVID, and it was all building up. We're doing the sales, we're going to trade shows on the ground, we're going to like local markets, getting the brand out there, having a lot of fun, being very persistent with retailers themselves, like the big guys over in Australia, and eventually getting pitches like invited to pitch your product, send them samples and tell them all about it, right? So you're literally on the cusp. Like if that goes well, you could turn into like $1 million deal straight away. They don't just do half measures in terms of like putting in a couple stores, they'll just go full in, which was apparently what the norm is. And we were getting somewhere with one of them, and they were coming back like, what's the pricing, X, Y, and Z, like things are getting like pretty exciting at that point. And COVID hit, so all these big retailers are like, we're not taking in on any new brands, it's too risky for us. Fair enough, makes complete business sense. But then we're coming to the end of not having enough stock or not having the cash to do a big massive run because we've not got that deal, right?
Oh.
So to feel that sort of disappointment, like shit, what the hell are we going to do? So we had to basically do a pivot. So just bear in mind, like Rory is the co-founder, met him at KPMG, and he's been there since the start, top guy. So we're on the phone to each other, like trying to figure out what to do, and eventually just came up with the idea of pivoting and doing powder because of like the lower order quantity, and perhaps during COVID, less people are out to the retail shops because they're all shut. They're going to be on e-commerce sites, right?
Yep.
And that exploded. So basically took that view, had like some funds left over. I was still working at the bank, and was able to get something together to then do that first run. But then during COVID, we also we had to come up with the recipe itself for the powder. So that's not easy. But we take a step back. Like we used food scientists at the start for the drinks. Cost X amount, like up like 15 to 20k Aussie, and didn't want to spend that again for the powder. No chance. So looked at the recipe and the formula that we had for the drinks, and I was like, I think I can just like sort of get this together and go for it. Like I'm gonna order in all the supply chain, put it to the Airbnb that I was staying at that side, but that's a different story, and just try and come up with it and just go for it every day
By yourself?
by myself every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, just completely, and like had all the ingredients. I was like measuring out it, like things you're measuring out 0.001 can make a difference with the sweetener, for example.
So
Yeah.
you're saying you must have tasted some really bad batches before you got the
Yeah,
recipe right?
yeah, exactly. I had a bit of an advantage. My flatmate at the time was a professional chef. He was also like building his own tech startup. So him and I got on like house on fire. So I would help him with like finance related stuff. Like I helped him with research and development tax in Australia. We got loads of cash back for that. He was helping with the vybey product. Like it was a good environment, really good environment. Like we were working out together, and that was all during COVID lockdown. We just like knuckled away and went for it.
You touched upon Rory. When did you meet him, and what encouraged you to bring him on board into the idea that you had 5 years before? Why him?
So Rory and I met at KPMG, as I said, and it was through the Woodland Warrior project.
What's that?
So you weren't there at that point, right? So that is through the Prince's Trust, which is a charity in the UK which helps disadvantaged youth get back into work. And they challenged the big corporates to raise £10,000 for a business idea. So we spotted a gap in the market at the time for corporate tough mudder, effectively. Okay. There was 8 of us in the group. Rory was involved. We understood how each other worked. We got on really well, and we had so much fun building that brand with Woodland Warrior from the ground up. He sorted out the branding and all that, the marketing, so he did really, really well. And like we sold the tickets, did the promo video, had the event on the day, and just had so much fun. Like I think I can't remember how long it was, maybe like 6 months, 5 months, something like that, to build it from start to finish.
Right.
And we ended up raising the money, gave it back, and that was like more of the catalyst for the charity aspect, because afterwards there was a big conference for the Prince's Trust, and you saw in real life what your money was going towards, and what difference that was making to the young people's lives. And for me, I was like, well, like during it, you're working on something that's so much bigger than yourself, so you're able to just keep going. The energy was high. So going back to Rory, then when I then moved to Australia, fast forward 6 months because you're settling in. Had to get a visa like before you start the the business itself. So after maybe another 4 months of trying to build the product, I knew that I needed the marketing help and the branding, and I didn't have those skills, and I knew Rory did, and we worked well together. And I was like, Rory, I'm doing this project. What do you think? I think you're the man for it.
What was his initial reaction?
He loves entrepreneurship as much as I do, right? So I think it was like, yeah, I'm going to give it a go, but it wasn't like I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to put cash in straight away. Like let's go. Let's see what this project is all about first, and then eventually when I was like, no, I'm pressing the button here. Let's go for it. And he's like, yeah, I'm in, done.
No
And
convincing, no negotiation.
nah, well, obviously there's negotiation around like how much money you want to put in, what the shareholding is, which is really really important.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. But I think we're both easygoing and like we're always open with each other. And he's been there like 3 years now, through the drink phase and now the powder phase. So with the powder, we've only actually been on the market for realistically a year in Australia. So it's still relatively new, even though we had the drink before. But with the drink, it's almost a different market with the powder. So you're almost starting again, which has been exciting at the same time. So yeah, Rory came on and he's there. He's obviously got a full-time job and it's up and downs in terms of what we can both achieve. But yeah, he's top man. He's there.
It seems like every young person who steps foot in a gym, who has a slight entrepreneurial urge, has the idea or thought that maybe one day I'll start a supplements organization. Wouldn't it be great if I had my own pre-workout? Or wouldn't it be fantastic if there was an XYZ flavor of protein on the market? I think most young people who are entrepreneurial and are in the gym have that kind of flirting curiosity.
Yeah.
What does it really take? Like really take to go from ideation to creation? Like what do you need on the ground ready for day one to launch?
Yeah. I'd say it depends what supplement you're going to do. Right. So if we talk about drinks, because I've done it, I didn't have any food and drink background. Right. So I knew what I wanted the product to be from a nutritional standpoint with your protein, fats, carbohydrates. Right. But I didn't know what to do with like the gums, the sweeteners, or how that was going to fit into a drink and be shelf stable. So in order for it to go shelf stable, like it's a seriously complex operation. It's all food chemistry. Like I didn't know. So I knew I needed external help. So I thought, right, let's start from the end process. So went after the manufacturers and tried to phone around them, like bottling manufacturers, get some nuggets of information. And eventually after more phone calls, so you've got to put in the work to phone, be prepared for that door to slam right in your face. And it did plenty of times. But just have that persistence to keep going. So eventually found bottle manufacturer, gave me insight into what the landscape in Australia was to make this idea happen. And he was like, just straight off the bat, before I start talking to you, you need to be aware that this is going to cost you at least 150, 200k Aussie to get done. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm going to get it done. I don't know how I'm going to get that money, but bear in mind that's what you need like to properly launch it at the end. So you didn't need that straight away, right? So you could put in your own capital, and eventually got to the stage where right you need the nutritionist, you need the food scientist to help you with this, also with all the supply chain. So eventually found one not far from Sydney, and made the first investment cash transfer to them, and I can remember doing it myself.
How did it feel?
Felt amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was like, here we fucking go. It's just
Balls to the wall.
yeah,
Here we
yeah,
go.
I was like, that's it. Obviously, like you felt a little bit right, blah, 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 finger above the button, ready to go. But I was just like, yeah, you're all in. You're going for it.
Do you think that commitment caused some sort of psychological shift for you in terms of how invested you really were in fulfilling vybey as a brand?
Yeah, 100%. I was warned before by a few older people, like, just bear in mind, your life is going to change. Like, just straight up, yeah. And you don't quite understand what that means, right? Until you've done it, until you're 6 months in and you're looking at the cash balance and you're thinking, right, how are we going to invest this properly? You've got other people's cash in your bank and you're like, oh, whoa, right, this is real now. And then it takes over your life, and here we are 3 years later, and you've had to make loads of sacrifices, and everything takes a hit.
What sacrifices?
Social sacrifices, like for instance, in Australia, when things are just like during production phase, I don't think we could have gone any faster because you're relying on other people to get that done, like supply chain, manufacturers, right? But when you've got the product, it's effectively all on you now, right? You need to go out and sell it. And if you've got other people's cash as well, you feel a bit guilty if you're out doing other stuff. Of course, you need to take a break, right? But for instance, in Australia, you get to the weekend and you need to use that weekend time where you've got no other commitments work-wise. And I can remember being in the flat and it's boiling outside, everyone's down at the beach and there's you typing away at, like obviously you've got Rory there to support you, but it is lonely, right? And the sacrifices, you're missing out on some social events. So now that I'm a bit past that, like who cares, social events, like things will come back. As long as you spend time with the right people in your friend circle, with your family, then it's going to make things a lot better. You've got to schedule your time properly and manage it appropriately to look after yourself at the same time.
I think if I was an entrepreneur, Gordon, my ruminating thought would be that what if I take it all the way and it just doesn't work and I missed my 20s, I missed the social occasions, I missed building relationships with friends or colleagues or other people. How do you manage the potential opportunity cost? Is that something you think about regularly enough?
No, not anymore.
Until I mentioned it.
No, yeah, but the upside is potentially so big. It's like, why are you going to pack it in now? Let's just keep going, and if you really want to go to that social event, go to the social event. If you want to go to that festival, go to the festival. If you want to like make sure that it all comes down to what you want. You're not going to throw away your 20s. 20s is 10 years. Okay, you might be slogging away for 10 years, but surely you'd be at that stage if to recognize, right, this is not actually working. We have to pack it in. I'm not talking about vybey, I'm talking about like generally here. So you should have that intelligence to be able to say, right, let's stop. Or unfortunately with some people, like they take it too far without having the breaks and they approach some sort of burnout. Like I'm seeing it at my day job at the moment, people coming with those sort of issues. And especially it hasn't helped with COVID and everything else that's going on at the moment. So you just need to keep powering on.
So both you and Rory manage and balance a day job, especially in professional services and the finance world. From the outside in, I've seen colleagues almost need respite from the day job. And what I mean by that is that they'll drink at the weekend, they'll go out and have a blowout at the weekend, almost like a celebratory night out because they need respite from the weekend, or they'll have a special breakfast on a Sunday because they need escape from the work week, or they'll do like a day trip because they need this respite from the 9 to 5 that they're not enjoying. However, you have what could be classified as a huge cognitive load during the week, which you probably enjoy. You probably love the day job, and so does Rory. But most colleagues would want to go home and rest and have these mini vacations at night or at the weekend. But you lean into harder, what you described as harder work at night. How do you balance your energy? Like, what habits do you have in place that allows you to fulfill that cognitive load needed at late hours at night and at the weekends?
Yeah, it's the self-care techniques that I mentioned at the start, with like sauna work, cold water therapy, breathing, meditation.
Is this stuff not just woo-woo?
I love woo-woo. If you want to talk woo-woo, I'll talk woo-woo all day. I love it. No.
Have you seen a noticeable difference by like interpreting all of these?
Yeah. Like especially as you said, like it's very testing during the day. Like you're not gonna be able to sustain that. Like unless you're a bit of a freak and your brain's tuned to it, which many people might be able to do. I'm sure that's possible. Like Musk, but we're certainly all not him. With my schedule itself, like I will work. You have to shut one laptop at 7 p.m. and open the other laptop. Right, that's how it was in Oz, certainly. But now, like you need to have that break, as you said. So you'll finish work, you'll go and do CrossFit at the gym. And I know you don't like CrossFit. I know you don't like CrossFit.
Let's stop recording now.
It's a fantastic workout, and it gives you that break. And
it's broader than that. There's a community aspect of it.
Exactly. And you're having a good time. But then when you go and do the nighttime work at the weekend, like I'm having fun doing it. That's I'm enjoying building the business. Like I have a lot of fun.
What feels like work to others feels like play to you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind. I like Excel.
So said no one ever.
Exactly. So I don't mind the reporting, the analysis, and and like I'm a bit of a geek like that, and I don't care. I'll do it. Obviously, I don't want to sit in Excel all the time, right? But you're building something, and again, it comes back to like it's almost bigger than you. And we do a thing with Mary's Meals. For every online order, we give back a meal to them. And again, that's, you almost feel like it's so much bigger than yourself. And you see the feedback from customers. That's another key point, that it's helped them throughout their day. And you get this like wave of positivity, and it's like, why, like, just keep going, like keep building this. And if one person can feel that, why can't thousands of people feel that? Like, we have sold thousands now of meals, which is really good to see. And we're getting positive feedback. So we need to, we've got a quality product as per the feedback. We've got decent marketing, very good marketing, but we need more of the capital to get that marketing out there, get it in front of more people, get people to taste it. So for instance, next month I'm going back to Oz, got a trade show. It's a big one. They've not had anything for 3 years. So yeah, it's a big one on the calendar.
Do you need an apprentice?
Yes, I do. But no, I do. Like, genuinely, we need more bodies there. I'm trying to schedule a few people. So if you want to take some time off work, let's go.
It's recorded, mate. That being said, you have catalyzed your professional career over the last few years as well.
Yeah.
And it seems from the outside in, making complete assumptions, that there might be a moment in time where you'll be at a crossroad, where you'll have to choose one or the other. But for now, how do you literally manage the mental RAM that you have?
Yeah.
Because you've progressed into a head of finance role, which from the outside in again seems like you have to make more decisions.
Yeah.
And we know the stress that has cognitively on the brain, and that will prohibit you, from what I'm guessing, to make high quality decisions at night with your brand.
Yeah.
How do you actually manage the mental RAM that you have, or the mental capacity that you have?
Yeah.
Is it something you actually actively think about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like with that job that I've got at the moment, it wasn't like I went out and looking for like this prestigious job, right? So I left Australia and went to Stockholm to live with my girlfriend. Hadn't seen each other in 8 months because of COVID. You couldn't get back in the country, so big decision, other things going on in the UK, so basically had to do it, and it's turned out amazing. Like, we're still together. But when I was there, I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't looking for that big job. It almost came to me. So it came through a contact that I knew well from KPMG, actually, and he had that job, and he also had that job while he was doing his side hustle. So I was thinking, right, if he can do it, then I can do it as well. And I was completely open. He knew about vybey, and so far so good, and it comes back to that point about looking after yourself. If you're feeling like you need to strain, like for instance now, every 3 weeks I plan like a spa visit, and I don't mean a spa visit at the gym, right? I mean like something away out in the countryside that you go and you switch off, no laptops, no phone, and you go into you have all the different saunas from around the world. You have the steam rooms, the cold plunge, like amazing food, and you just go there and you completely like recharge, like, and I feel amazing after it. And a bit of a weird part of that place is actually in the Netherlands is all naked. Right, it's all good but naked. It's something I didn't know about before I went either.
Yeah.
I know, but,
Mr. Men's Physique, I didn't know about it.
But what I know that's funny, but the thing about it is, yeah, it's weird. Like for Brits, like we don't do that in the UK, right?
It's almost like exposure therapy.
Yeah, right. So you're there. First 10 minutes a bit weird, like, oh my god, what the hell's going on? Everyone's naked walking around.
He's got 3 legs on. Yeah. That's not like.
And you're in the sauna and you walk in and it's like everyone's butt naked, right? So it was definitely a weird experience at the start, but then sort of chill out a bit, and then almost like close my eyes, you look out the window and it's like a lake and everyone's walking around and they're all naked, and it felt like quite calming, like as if you were going back to your
tribal roots.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly that. And then from that point in, it's like, oh my god, this is great, because this is actually all we really are. We're just skin and bones and no clothes and things. You know what I'm getting at?
100%. But there seems to be, for me, a juxtaposition, because then you go back into an entrepreneurship role, fulfilling capitalism. There seems to be such a juxtaposition from being naked, being back to the tribal roots, to then wanting more and falling into what seems like the hedonic treadmill chasing a carrot on a stick almost again.
Yeah.
I guess the question I have based on that, do you do vybey for a massive payout? Do you want to be bought by a huge kind of biological company or like a pharmaceutical company or like a Unilever at some point? Or do you do it because you want to create something into existence that didn't already exist? Is it monetary driven or is it purpose, legacy, and much broader than that?
Yeah. When you're younger, I'd say like that appetite for financial freedom, and obviously now financial freedom would be amazing. But I think that's what it kind of starts off with, and I'm talking about like before vybey, before uni and things. But certainly as you mature and get older, and you, as I talked about, the feedback, you want to build something that's almost missing from the market. It's going to help people and do something that's a lot bigger than you. So now, yeah, of course, I would love to get bought out one day when everything's finished off, or continue it down the family. Who knows? There's all these different options, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing, both in the day job as well. By the way, like I enjoy going to work. Like it's not a bad. Like I don't wake up. I'm ready to go like on a Sunday night. I'm looking forward to the week. I sometimes struggle a bit on a Sunday night. I get too excited about the week starting, and that's both vybey and the day job.
Mic drop moment. Design a life where you look forward to Mondays, mate. That's awesome.
That comes from no alcohol. Right, so that's another key point. You mentioned like social and stuff. Like my alcohol intake is like not completely eradicated. Like I'll still have fun at a festival, for instance, like twice a year or once a year, you know. But I feel so much more fresher. Like yeah, it's just, it all just aligns with that self-care aspect. And if you want to do what I'm doing in terms of the amount of hours or mental strain, then yeah, you can't have alcohol in your system unless you're a robot.
Sobriety is a huge productivity tool.
Yeah.
I think I had Near EL on the other day, the daddy of productivity, the author of Indistractable, and he said that the World Health Organization have now declared that there's no safe amount of alcohol that can be consumed.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That being said, so you use these spas and retreats at the weekend, nude beaches, whatever else, as almost like a slingshot. Like you pull yourself back to accelerate yourself forward. Do you think you need to go to those, and speaking generally for the public, do you need to go to those extremes to reap the benefits of rest and relaxation? Or can it be as simple as going a walk at the weekend or just switching the phone?
Yeah, no, I think a walk at the weekend is certainly doable as well. But it comes back to like the spa is not going to shock the system apart from maybe that extensive heat in the sauna or the cold water therapy. But you see all the guys, like top guys like Joe Rogan, for instance. He's doing all the sauna work. He's doing the cold water, and the breathing part. Like I'm doing a lot of Wim Hof breathing too. So that's meant to like shock the system and like almost like recalibrate yourself. So if you want to operate at that high level, like those techniques will, they're going to optimize your performance, both like physically and mentally. So if you want to keep going at the pace that you are, you need to be doing something a bit extra. You know, like for instance, I talked about my day job, but at work, there's been people coming in stressed, right? So I'm trying to as a manager, you get to the bottom of like where's this stress coming from? Not do any like counselling. I'm not qualified for that, right? But I've introduced like slow breathing sessions at work. So having like a group of people come with me, like it's only a 10-minute session, and then just wasn't really sure how it would transpire. But at the end, people are like, yeah, when's this next on? Can we do this like most days? You know, it's like trying to combat stress in such a way, and especially with the power of the breath that underpins the mind. So as I said before, touching the top end of that at the moment, trying to understand as much as I can. So it's really fascinating.
I find it in true Gordon Belch style that you're still doing that in the office. Like these extraordinary, extracurricular ways to approach well being and productivity. Like that's the Gordon that I met in KPMG, just as charismatic glow, who was unconventional, untraditional. I love to hear how true you have been to yourself through this entire journey.
Yeah. No, I've just given that example there about keeping to those values. Like obviously you have slips like with vybey as well. Like you sort of get a bit of tunnel vision sometimes, and that can like stray you away from like your true values as well. Like it's definitely been really tough up and down, and to stay on that same course. Like you, part of that, like last year when you actually recommended to me the 6 minute diary, right? What a tool, right? So that allows you to stay on track, and it's not for everyone, but to be able to write how grateful you are in the day, what you're going to achieve, and reflect like that keeps you on course. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
For me, the positive affirmation section of that, where you write essentially something into existence every single day, has been the most powerful tool. I can share mine. Mine is to be recognized by communities for my impact on society. I'll be a unique leader and will leave a legacy that's unique and concrete. And I wrote this when I was probably still in my teens, maybe 20 years old. 20 years old.
yeah,
Just an employee. And then since then, I have had milestones that completely fulfill that and embody that.
yep,
But I still write it every single day, and I move myself closer
exactly.
to a greater and grander version of that. I'd like to believe.
Yeah, no, exactly. And even today, I saw a post about the UK government shared your story. Like, come on, like that's proof that if you stay on that path, and these things are going to happen. So, massive congratulations for that today.
Humbled, mate. If the crossroads were to appear where you have to choose your day job or vybey, because vybey has grown into this monster, how would you make that decision? What mental model would you lean on?
Yeah, you first of all, you couldn't leave the team hanging. Like you wouldn't just leave abruptly. Absolutely no way. You would do it in some sort of stage. But there's various options that you could do. Like if it turns in, like when it turns into a monster, you could actually just get someone else to run it for you. At that point, you could get someone else that's more experienced to build it to that next stage. Like you see that on the market a lot, right?
It's almost like Ben Francis when he stepped down as
Exactly.
CEO.
Exactly. So there's various options you could do. Like if you get a potential investor that says, "I'm not investing in you unless you're doing it full time," which is a completely fair statement, and I've had that plenty of times for me throughout the years. Also had a guy say, "If I'm going to invest in this business, you have to put your career on hold. I'm not investing if you don't put your career. That means you're not getting any promotions, stuff like that, you know." And it's completely fair. Like you want someone to be totally invested, but um yeah, you could even go down to, instead of doing 5 days a week, you do 4 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, and it just goes out in a natural field. But yeah, I've got a lot of commitment also to the day job at the moment. Like I love everyone there. I'm learning loads. That's the main thing. I'm developing. It's great. Like and it's tough as well.
If I were to put myself in your shoes, and I'm walking these same shoes too with the kind of facets that I have, is that I'd be scared that I have some sort of identity crisis
Mhm.
because you have these very different grand titles.
Yeah.
Do you ever struggle with defining your identity, who you are?
One thing came to mind, like you'd be away so long from Scotland, like you get a bit like, well, where is home still there? You know, like living in Australia, living in Stockholm, now living in Amsterdam. Like you come back here, but within a couple of days, it's all good. It's completely back to normal. Like you walk around the corner there, you see your old workplace. It's great. But when I was in Stockholm, I was doing vybey full time. Right, so I did that for 6 months, and it was just full steam ahead. And that was to get the first powder launched. So I almost know what it feels like. You know, I'm grateful for my girlfriend that was supporting at the time. I had saved up some cash so that I was able to do it, and I was working remotely for Macquarie Bank at that point for a month.
Besides free stock, free supplements, free meal replacement drinks,
We
and
don't get any of that.
you don't get any,
No.
you don't reward yourself with stock.
Well, we pay cost.
Don't get high on your own supply. I've heard that.
Exactly. We pay cost to keep things going. We've not taken a penny out in salary. I've just pumped it all back into marketing. Like that we don't need that at the moment. We've still got full-time jobs. There's no need. But what I will say, that a bit of advice for anyone that wants to start their own business and is not taking a salary, there's no reason why you can't recognize the cost of a salary on the profit and loss and build it up in the balance sheet and not pay it out. And I know to the non-finance people, that's a bit like, what the hell are you talking about, mate?
What does that mean in plain English?
Exactly. What does that mean in plain English? You pay yourself a salary on the accounting books, but you don't pay it in cash. you can pay it at a later date, right? And yeah, okay, that might not be suitable for future investors, but it like they'll probably make you transfer it into shares, for instance, right? That's more than that's negotiation down the track, but it means that when you're at a point, you can actually reward yourself not a bit more, but what you've been due for those like 2 3 years of constant graft with no pay,
And risk.
and risk, yeah, exactly. So that's the rationale behind that. So yeah, we are putting in salary costs as well, but not taking anything.
Besides going on these spa retreats to Butt Cheek Mountain or wherever it is, how 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 do you reward yourself really? Like, how do you? Because I don't know. I there must be some sort of instant gratification from the amount of hours that you put in. How do you really reward yourself?
I get a lot of satisfaction from the work that I put in, right? And I know that's might seem a bit weird, but that is the truth. So if I've got a to-do list, and like it's probably pretty geeky, but you you smash off that to-do list, and you might have a date organized in the evening with your girlfriend or with family or whatever. So my perfect date would definitely be to smash a bit of the to-do list, feel good about that, and then have a wonderful time with no phones, no interruptions, um, spending quality time with that loved one. In terms of rewarding, like I don't reward myself and go and get drunk or anything like that. Yeah, okay, I'll go to a festival. That's a bit of reward. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm trying to think what else reward wise I got.
Do you think you've set up a life where you constantly feel rewarded? I mean, you haven't stayed in Scotland. You've moved deliberately and live in locations that suit your lifestyle. Do you feel like you're almost rewarding yourself every day
Yeah,
by making those decisions?
yeah, agreed. And I just flash back to reward. Um, like I like I'd done a lot of work with the day job. There's a project ongoing. We're doing a new system implementation, which is a massive amount of work, and also doing vybey in the evening. So it was getting quite testing, and we had to go out to the Italian office, and we stayed. I stayed in Lake Como at the
Wow.
weekend, and rewarded myself with pretty pricey hotel that looked over the lake, and the nice peaceful tunes are on. People are serving you all sorts of like healthy stuff, and you're chilling by the pool, and you're reading a great book. And I'm like, this is reward myself, like, and you feel calm, you feel peace, and you're like, yep, pat in the back, I've worked hard, and I deserve this.
Bearing in mind you come from an ecosystem in terms of your schooling of people that have gone on to achieve great things, do you think your definition of reward matches theirs?
And with some people, yeah, with my inner circle, yes, like we're on the same page. Like I would like I'd meet one of the guys we talked about earlier. We'd go sit in botanics and do breathing exercises. Look like a couple of weirdos, but
I'm gonna go down with my phone and take some snaps.
exactly. So that doesn't happen all the time, but you know what I'm getting at. We're like minded. So yeah, that reward system will be the same. But there's plenty of people that were in the year group that definitely won't be the reward. The reward. Oh, yeah.
I'm obviously joking. I have, like, when you said that, I have a couple of mates that come to mind who I'm going to on holiday with
Yeah.
in June, and we were just talking all woo woo together, and we all asked each other, as woo woo as it sounds, what do you want to get out of this holiday? Like, what are we searching for by going on this holiday? And most of my other friends would be like, why the hell are you asking that? And I said respite. To be honest, respite from kind of my day to day, because I'm quite stressed at the moment.
Yeah.
But my other mate said just deeper connection with you guys. Like,
Nice.
I feel myself when I'm around you as you add to my life. Having an intense 2 week period of that would be really beneficial to me.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what you've replicated with
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
inner circle.
We should all connect.
We should.
Yeah.
Let's meet in Bali.
Yeah.
Let's launch vybey in Bali together.
Why not? Let's do it.
So you said at the beginning of your Genesis story, your dad said, Gordon, essentially, you're built for more.
Mm.
Where you're at right now, do you think you've fulfilled that?
Yeah, he's told me he's proud, big time. So, but for me, that's a success.
That's humbling. That's amazing to see. So if validation from your dad is not does not equate to self-actualized version of you, what does Gordon look like when he's self-actualized? What are you chasing?
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche. Like you're just trying to be better than you were yesterday. You're trying to develop. You're learning all the time. You're being present and aware. That's another key point, as I mentioned, that you can rush through a journey, get to the end, and be like, what happened? That just completely flashed. But as long as you have more time to think, like you're gonna get more out of your journey. You know what I get at? Like a lot of people just like zoom ahead and just forget to take that time, like a bit of a stock take. Like you're talking about it right now with the holiday. Um, there's no big flashy endpoint to me, to be honest. Like I'm happy with the journey that's going on at the moment. Of course, there's the stress, and we could try and alleviate that in some way. Um, but yeah, that's what's going on.
I love the whole phrase of you should enjoy the process, not what the process buys you. I know Jimmy Carr is a bit controversial, but when he was asked to describe happiness, he said it was the ability to enjoy the passage of time.
Mm,
And it's one of the most powerful quotes that have ever stuck by me. And
yeah,
I feel like that's what you're
yeah.
almost living.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. I got his book for my dad.
Did you?
Yeah. I've not read it myself, but that's definitely on the list.
If someone came to you with an unlimited bucket of cash in coins, not in coins, but an unlimited bucket of cash, unlimited stream of funds, what would the final version of Vibe look like?
Hmm. It would be completely renowned around the world for its quality, world class products that made a difference in people's life, and really gave other individuals that edge. Um, yeah, and would be renowned from an employer point of view as well for self development. That would be fantastic. But the investment side, like if you want to touch on that, like is that's a complete roller coaster as well. Like for every 20 people, you'll have 19 that say no, one that might say yes. Like and one story for when we got our first external investment. Like, so if you're getting investment, like you definitely want to put it in yourself first, right? You want to show skin in the game, and then from there you might go after your friends and family that believe in you. Once you have more traction, so you can show them that this is actually going to happen. And then when I was in Oz, when we got our first external investment that was outside the circle, it was actually in the workplace. So one of the directors in the bank, right? So I came back from the first samples of vybey from the food scientists, right? So as I said, they were way outside Sydney. It was like I had to leave at 4 a.m, right, to get there, so I could be back at the office for 9 a.m, right? Because I couldn't take the day off work, didn't have any holidays left, or I was busy, can't remember. And then I had a picnic bag on my shoulder because you could put the coolers around the outside and keep the product fresh, right? So I'd be sprinting trying to get that train that would allow me to get back there for 9 a.m. But if it was late, it was fine, it'd be okay. And anyway, I'd walk in and I'd have all these people ready to do the sample testing because we had to get that proof, and we compared them against international competitors, domestic competitors, to just get that data. And even though these people would be tasting, they might not invest, right? So we just had to get the data. And then one of the directors was like, "Gotta, what are you doing? What are you doing with a picnic basket, a picnic bag, you know?" And so I gave him the spiel, and I was like, "I've been up since 4 a.m, chasing after this food scientist to get these samples. Would you like to taste?" And he's like, "Right on, let's do it." So I took him over to the corner, and then they're never going to invest straight away, but he liked what I was doing. He obviously saw the drive, and after a couple of months, like they put cash in, which allowed for the trial run, and then also other people in the bank did so as well. You know, so they saw the grind that I was putting in, and maybe they get paid too much, right? They definitely do. As investment fund managers, they get paid far too much, but they're not going to chuck the money away, right? They're smart, so they believed in me. We're still in contact, obviously, and I'll catch up with them next month.
One of the biggest milestones that I've seen is the UK launch,
Mm-hmm.
which was, when was that? Not too long ago?
Yeah, like a month,
A month ago?
month and a half.
How did that feel and how has it went?
I felt really good bringing it back home. Like it was inevitable that was going to happen with Roy and I both being from the UK. Obviously, quite like you don't know how it's really going to go. Like you launch, you get into the habit, like you launch, you're not expecting anything from a launch if you've not put in the marketing spend, right? So it's out there. The search engine optimization is running. It's going to be a slow burner until you put in the proper cash to really get that going. So it's been slow and steady at the start, but you're picking up new customers. The key point is when you start getting completely random people to buy, right? So you know that the marketing is doing well, right? So obviously you get friends and family at the start that will help out, or people that know about it in Australia, so that's fine. But when you start getting all the random people coming, that's when you know you're doing something right. And I know that might seem a bit obvious, but that is like a tick. And with there being other brands in the UK, they've paved the way in terms of the education side, but they have that market hold. So how are you going to convince other people to actually buy your product? How are you different? And there's a list of how we're different, right? And that's what we're trying to portray on the marketing. But we have to get people to taste it.
How are you different?
So with Huel, for instance, right? Let's talk about them.
Swear word on the podcast. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Shh. We see ourselves as more premium. Right? We've got organic ingredients. We have nootropics in there by way of the lion's mane.
What's a nootropic?
So that's a compound that's going to positively impact your cognitive ability, so help with your brain health, for instance, and also it also helps with your immune system. So like a few steps above a superfood. I know superfood might not be the right word, but that's our view. So you have nootropics in there. You have the probiotics, which is for your gut health. And if you look in the back of the labeling, they've only got a sprinkle compared to we've got. So it's like something like 5 times as much we've got. So we feel like we're doing more of a difference. And then also they've got artificial sweeteners. We've got natural sweeteners by way of the stevia leaf. So more natural from that side. Like it's very similar on a macronutrial point of view with the proteins, fats, and carbs. And then it comes down to taste, right? So taste is a biggie.
We know who's better.
Right, taste is a biggie. There it is behind you, exactly. And the feedback, we've had quite a few people in Australia that have moved from the UK and they can't get that product over there, and they can't get something of that level. So they turn to us, and we've actually been spoken about in some of the discussion boards, on Huel's discussion boards. So people are saying, right, you can actually get vybey in Australia, and you have all these people talking about your brand. You're like, whoa, what's like? So you jump in and you're like, yep, let's keep the momentum going. So you get people coming on to your website and also leaving a comment like saying, completely random people, by the way, I have no idea who they are. They're buying, and they're like, oh yeah, we had Huel in the UK, but we like vybey in it, and arguably it tastes better, you know? So
The mixability is better.
yeah, but it's all quite subjective as well, right? But if you can then, you have those data points, and you can then be on the same stand as the world leader, right? So you know that you've made a world-class product. So now it's time to just get that message out there and get the sales going, get it in more people's hands. That's the goal.
This has been such a full circle moment for me, Gordon. I really mean that, from the bottom of my heart. Like I said before we started recording, I would probably say you were my first true role model. Like I said, I was excited to come in and share my achievements with you. So you coming and sitting on the couch in Paul's studio today is quite an emotional one for me, from a personal point of view. You have been on this journey with vybey since I kind of was disconnected from you through work because you moved on.
Yeah.
If you were to go back in time and meet 18, 19-year-old David again and distill all the lessons that you have learned since then, is there anything that stands out that you would provide him with to set him on his way?
Say if you've got an idea, young David, and you're passionate about it, go for it and make that idea happen. Don't look back. You'll just have such a big regret if you didn't do it. But when you do that idea, make sure you're consistent and you persevere, and it's not going to be easy at all, but you're going to have so much fun along the way, and try and be present, stay present and enjoy it.
I'm going to pick up on that last one because that's something I'm not good at. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you? Where can they find vybey? How can they get involved?
Yep. The website, Australian, www.vybey, that's vybey.com.au. The UK site is the same, vybey.co.uk. And then on Instagram it's at vybey_smooth, the Australian, and UK vybey.uk. And then you can personally, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, it's Gordon JB12.
Definitely reach out. Gordon, thank you so much. This has been a privilege.
Well, thanks a lot, David.
I'm sure
Enjoyed
we'll
it.
do it again. We'll do it again. Yeah.